Islam,
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 Islamism.
Islamism. We want to welcome you all to the Moorish Sense Channel. I'm your host, one half of the dynamic duo. This is your Brother Brendan Joyner Ill, Sheik of the Moorish Science Temple of America, Temple number 13, located at 1055 North Milton Avenue in Baltimore, Maryland. And to my left this evening,
Brother Valines Bay, Sheik of the Moorish Science Temple of America, 1055 Milton Avenue.
praise Allah,
Islamism, praise Allah.
Islamism. We're going to start off, as we always do, with the Moorish American prayer, led by Sheikh Malans Bey, and then we'll get into tonight's segment. Of course, before we get into the prayer, if you have any questions, comments, concerns, or just want to be interactive, we do have a live chat, so um, we'll be answering questions and going over statements and inquiries in the chat as well. If you're on YouTube, hit the like button and the subscribe button as well. Islam,
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 Islam.
Islam.
Allah, the Father of the universe,
Allah, the Father of the universe,
the Father of love,
the Father of love,
truth,
truth,
peace,
peace,
freedom,
freedom,
and justice.
and justice.
Allah is my protector,
Allah is my protector,
my guide,
my guide,
and my salvation
and my salvation
by night
by night
and by day
and by day
through his holy prophet,
through his holy prophet,
Drew Ali.
Drew Ali.
Amen.
Amen.
Praise Allah. Islamism.
Islam. Praise Allah. I want to rise. First, I rise to give praises to Allah, the Father of the universe, the Father of love, truth, peace, freedom, and justice. I also want to give honors to our beloved Prophet Noble Drew Ali, who was born in the state of North Carolina January 8th, 1886. I also want to extend honors to the Prophet's forerunner, Brother Marcus Mosiah Aurelius Garvey. I extend honors to Brother Prophet. I also want to extend honors to Supreme Grand Resurrection, Grand Chief Timothy G. Dingley, hyphenated Noble Drew Ali in this era of time. I extend honors to all Moorish Americans, sympathizers, those who may be tuning in. If this is your first time looking at the channel, tuning into the channel, welcome to the Moorish Sense Channel. Brother Bay, it's good to see you in the chat. I pray that a lot of you doing well today, my brother. And then also all of those who are tuning in right now to the Moorish Sense Channel. We're going to go over the segment in a minute, but I just wanted to kind of touch base, and I'm going to pass it over to you, Sheik. So we took about maybe 2 months off, and really the show tonight is it's going to kind of tile into exactly what good spiritual hygiene is, the importance of good spiritual hygiene. But the Sheik and I, we decided, to take a little hiatus, a little bit of time off. We're not YouTubers. We don't do this for fame. We don't do this for clout. We really don't even do it for likes and subscribes. We would like for people to follow along with the page so that you're able to get updates when we do go live. But ultimately, we decided to take some time off with our families, our wives, one wife, children, and our families, etc. To just reflect, to get our health in order, and to do what's right in the sight of Allah. And sometimes you have to sit down, you have to still yourself as we teach in the temple on holy days as well as Sunday school and our other respective meetings, and really get your mind right. And not because it was any type of adversity, anything of that nature being on. I'm gonna speak for myself on myself, but just for the simple fact that when you're dealing with this thing called social media, it has the ability to warp you. It also has the ability to, if you're not careful, that you start picking up on the thought patterns, energies of people, and then you really have to go back and reflect and say, well, wait a minute, where did this thought come from, or why am I thinking this way? So with that being said, too, I also want to extend honors to my wife, Deputy Sheikah Tamika Joyner Ill. I want to extend honors to my son and my daughter, the Prince Joyner Ill, the Princess Joyner Ill. I'm truly grateful for them. I want to also just, put it out there. Yesterday we celebrated our 9-year anniversary,
Praise
9-year
Allah.
anniversary, which is a blessing. So I give praises to Allah, and I thank Allah for just the opportunity of obligation. And I also thank Allah for those who were present as well during our ceremony. May Allah be pleased with the Grand Sheik Conrad Johnson Hill, because I thought about him a lot this week. But with that being said, I'm going to pass it over to you, Sheik Balans Bay.
Yeah. Praise Allah. And congratulations on your I'm coming up on a year,
I know.
which is a blessing.
Yeah,
I
man.
give honor to my wife
That's right.
as well. My children as well.
That's right.
Uh, so praise Allah. Um, people might be wondering spiritual hygiene, right?
Right.
Um, praise Allah. And my wife says sends her Islam's in
That's
the
right.
chat. Um, so spiritual hygiene, right?
Mm-hmm.
What is that? So when you think about hygiene, you're thinking about keeping your body, like the prophet says, keeping your body, your hearts and your minds pure with love, and your body clean with water.
That's right.
So a lot of people come into the Moorish Science Temple of America, and once they come into the Moorish Science Temple of America, they um, some people feel like they have arrived, right?
Mm.
And also, then some people come into the Moorish Science Temple will sit in the background as members, and they feel like um, they can't read the Bible, they can't read various other spiritual books when that's not what we're asking. We're asking you to use the prophet as a guide to be able to help you understand other books,
That's
right?
right.
So when we talk about spirituality, we're not dogmatic, right? And what I mean by dogmatic is that this is not a pie in the sky demonstration.
That's right.
When you come into the temple, there are certain things that you have to hold yourself accountable for. But once again, that's nothing that I can make you do. That's something that you have to choose to do on your own. However, we can give you principles, we can give you ideas, but that is going to have to come with um, you establishing and building some type of trust and trusting in us. And this is or your leadership, so to speak.
That's right.
And you know right from wrong. If a spiritual leader is telling you to do something, and you know within your heart of hearts, our spiritual leaders are not above Allah, and they're definitely not above Prophet Noble Drew Ali. So we're not encouraging anyone to have blind faith. If a leader is telling you to do something that is not becoming of uh, the principles of love, truth, peace, freedom, and justice, then don't you do it.
That's right.
So now, hygiene is maintaining a healthy ecosystem, right?
Islam.
And when we read in the Quran of the Moorish Science Temple of America, it talks about um, the true economy of human life,
That's right.
and this is what we're talking about: the true economy of human life. And so so when we talk about spiritual hygiene, we're talking about the practices, the rituals that help maintain a healthy spiritual ecosystem. This involves regular maintenance to prevent the buildup of negative energy, which
Come
you
on.
was just talking about.
That's right, man.
We are not I don't know where all this um, in the more science. Well, I know where it comes from. For the sake of understanding, I'm gonna say I don't know where it comes from. Where um, you have individuals who come into the temple, and then all of a sudden they know uh, more than the elder. They got all the lessons of the Moorish Science Temple of America,
Hmm.
and they telling other people they're not this and they're not that. They're not Allah.
That's right.
If if we are following the prophet to the best of our abilities, meaning that we attend our meetings to the best of our ability, we paying our dues, and these are not the only requirements, but when we're doing these particular things, this is half of what we need to do, right?
That's right.
Knowing that your nationality is Moorish American, knowing that the shade of your skin is olive, and knowing that your race is Asiatic, these are the basic elements of the Moorish Science Temple of America. And practicing the principles of love, truth, peace, freedom, and justice. So, like at our temple, right, we have people always say when we What we do is we salute our flags,
Right.
right?
Right.
So to us, that's a ritual,
It is.
right?
That's right.
Now, other people who have never been to our temple, who are on the outside looking in, will try to say, "Oh, the prophet didn't bring that, or
Bring
this and that,"
it. Right.
before they even ask us a question. So how would you know what was established, why it was established, if you don't ask the question?
That's right.
Okay. Secondly, people like, "Oh, they dancing." No, we're not dancing.
Oh, we're
We're
not listening.
we're practicing a ritual that we have at 1055 Milton Avenue, and it's in conjunction with the laws of the prophet, and we do that, and this helps us maintain a healthy spiritual ecosystem
That's right.
because it means something to us. If it means nothing to you, that's fine, but don't come at us like we doing something wrong. You understand where I'm coming from?
I understand totally where you're coming from because I've heard the same thing before,
Yeah,
and I just smile
yeah,
and
yeah,
laugh because it tells me one or two things. The first thing
right,
is, a lot of people aren't using good common sense or even emotional intelligence,
right,
and then also they're not reading the Quran because in chapter 47, the prophet says you can create customs in conjunction with the laws of the Grand Major Temple.
right.
So you got to read, man. And you not just read, you got to study. I want to can I can I
Yeah,
just
go ahead. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
yeah, so I've had the opportunity to converse with a few individuals over the course of the week,
Uh-huh.
and I give honest to them, because it takes a lot of courage to call or to talk and converse and say, hey, I've been reading the Holy Quran of the Moorish Science Temple of America. I read it from front to back, and I'm trying to understand it more, which I think is awesome. But one thing I want to kind of implore the audience and maybe those who may see this video or this segment, you have to do a little bit more than read the Quran.
Right.
You have to. It doesn't. Reading it is good. It's a good basis. However, it has to become part of you, and you have to internalize it. And the topic of the day is good spiritual hygiene. And you mentioned earlier, she, in regards to the temple. The
Mhm.
temple is a spiritual hub, but it is a macrocosm of the microcosm. You being the microcosm, you being a key player or an essential individual in the Moorish Science Temple of America will help you in your spiritual growth and development.
Right.
And when I look at chapter 38, the first verse in chapter 38, which is the soul of man,
Mhm.
the prophet says, "The blessing on man of thy external part is health, vigor, and proportion. The greatest of these is health. What health is to the body, even that is honesty to the soul." Right.
Mhm.
And then the next verse, just going down to it, the prophet says, hey, you have a soul. Knowing that you have a soul is the most certain of all truths. And it's most plain to you that you have a soul. However, you don't really quite understand what the soul is. Let me walk you through what the soul is. But while
Okay.
I'm walking you through what this soul is, because this soul lives for experience, um, it lives for the thrill, so to speak. Be meek. Meekness is not weakness, but meekness allows you to be humble and it allows you to grow at a pace where you, like you say, you don't have, as you often say, king baby syndrome, or
Yeah.
likewise, as the elders often say, you're not your
Oh,
pheasants are getting too tight. You're not high minded.
my
There
mind.
we go.
Yeah.
Right, high minded. So the prophet says, seek not to know it perfectly. It's inscrutable. So I'm glad you talked about rituals because in my own personal life, and I don't have a problem sharing, the Grand Chief Ronald Thornhill, he said that anything you go through in life, you should be able to share it,
Mhm.
and talk about it, So I've created a few rituals and healthy routines for myself, just me waking up in the morning and going outside in nature.
Mhm.
Nature is what gives me life. I've always often known this since I was a youth, but now that I'm older, I'm 36 now. I'm learning more and more and more how to get in tune with nature,
Mhm.
and I'm also going back to a lot of what you I'd say instilled in me and also taught me as the previous Sunday school instructor, as well as my senior, with numbers. So I've been going
Mhm.
into numerology a lot. I've been looking at numbers in you, but also I've been looking at that number zero really heavy as well,
Hmm.
because when you get into that number, the number zero or zero itself is the beginning of all things, and it
Hmm.
creates that one or that oneness. So I just wanted to say that point, but
No, you
staying
good.
staying on topic, it's interesting, um, because good spiritual hygiene will take you very far, uh,
Very fun.
very far. One thing that I've learned, or I'm learning, I ain't gonna say I've learned because I haven't learned it or mastered it fully, but you do have to you have to turn off what we're on right now. You have to turn off social media sometimes.
Man, look.
You have to turn it off because if you don't, you get warped, man.
and, and and a lot of people don't understand how many thoughts people pick up,
Hmm.
um, ideas,
That's right.
customs, and a million. What they say, ideals and customs, and a million ideas of man,
Yeah, that's right, Mo.
right?
That's right.
And on social media, right? Number one, we communicate, we don't debate, right?
Right.
And also, we do our best not to add our dirty laundry with other individuals on social media. And the
Right.
reason being is because if you're saying that you're a wise man and I'm saying that I'm a wise man, then we can meet and then we can have a discussion. And if you see good in me and I see good in you, then you should be able to see the good, or you should be able to take an objective look at what it is that you're doing. And if I feel like brother to brother that, and I'm telling you, not on social media, right?
Hmm.
Um, and please forgive me for the listening audience and
No, go ahead, Mo.
anybody.
You
Um,
good? You good?
I'm 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 not on. We're not on social media to try to flex our intellectual testicles.
Not at all.
You understand what I'm saying?
We're proud be people.
Yeah, we not. If we demonstrate something, we are demonstrating um, because what we are, we have measured ourselves according to someone else who has been what we are,
Right.
and we have the autonomy to go to that person that we are measured by. We have the autonomy to, or the option to go to them, and if we see them out of order, we can say something to them and hold them accountable, just like when they see us out of order, they can hold us accountable.
That's right.
And essentially, this is what the Moorish Science Temple of America is about. It's about accountability. This is why the prophets say, where there is unity, there is strength.
That's right.
Not um
Division,
this
separation,
stuff.
segregation. We don't
Yeah, and that this is the stuff
do that.
that has somewhat during the time that when the prophet transitioned, this is what destroyed um, and have some of the temples in the conditions that they are in now, and
That's
that's
right.
what we're working towards. We know not to be that way. We know sovereignty and the stuff that they got from listening to various books, David Robinson,
Hmm.
and the stuff that has crept and try to creep into the temples about the straw man and things of this nature. That is not something that Prophet Noble Drew Ali brought.
Right.
That's not something that he taught.
That's right.
Um, and it's not just relative to Moorish Americans, right?
Right.
That stuff, if you read it, it can apply to Europeans. Matter of fact, that's who they would have some of the first ones who were demonstrating that kind of stuff.
Hmm.
Right. If you go and do a deeper investigation as far as tax protest movement and various other things. The European nations were the ones, or at least in this part of the world, who were demonstrating that, and that was right after the loss of when the Southerners lost the Civil
Civil
War.
War. That's right.
Now here come the Confederate doctrine about the de facto United States and the various other
Hmm.
teachings that they teach. Um,
Purpose.
so, um, you know, where there's unity, there's strength. And if you don't practice the way that I practice, that's okay. That's fine. But if I can see, as I said, good, and I can see truth in what it is that you're demonstrating, then all is well with me. And if
Right.
I don't understand something, I'm gonna ask you a question, and then when you answer it, depending on how you answer it, I know within myself, oh yeah, that makes sense, or that makes a spiritual sense, or yeah, I'm not doing that at all, right?
That's right.
Um,
Yeah. Well, yeah. That's spiritual growth right there, man.
absolutely,
You
yes,
would
yeah.
recognize. Go ahead.
I
Continue.
mean, and uh, so we also we to destroy the negative energy that's in
Mhm.
us, right? Which would be considered as the lower self.
Right.
We uh we do read the scripture, we pray, right? These are the activities we meditate, but also there needs to be truth and reconciliation.
Correct.
And when we talk about truth and reconciliation, this is a process by where both victims and perpetrators can tell their stories, right?
Right.
Providing a way for each party to listen to others deeply. And when we listen deeply, right, this is a validation of being heard, and it can help towards healing for individuals and the community.
That's right.
Because we all know that some rotten things have happened before our time, right?
Mm-hmm.
So we I don't know if there are any I can't say that there are any victims that are still living, or perpetrators that are still living at this point in time. But certain things, if you will, the elephants in the room have to be addressed, but they must be addressed in a way where we're not bickering and arguing, and we're not communicating. Debating.
That's
We're
right.
actually communicating about what has happened and what is the best segue forward. Not, oh, I do this right and y'all don't. All that is, I'm here to say that that's goofy, right?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Um, Now, for those who say, well, post events don't matter, well, I'm here to tell you that that's not true,
That's true.
right?
That's right.
Things that have happened in the past, those events, people say those events don't have no impact on us,
Mm-hmm.
and on us today. Um, but that's far from reality, right? Because avoiding talking about difficult things, and or trying, at least trying to talk about them, and avoiding talking about them and sweeping them under the rug, basically what happens is you sweep enough stuff under the rug, eventually you're going to trip.
I like that one.
Yeah, because it's going to create a pile.
Wow, that's right.
Yeah, and if enough is swept under the rug and never addressed, then we'll definitely trip over it, and that's what has been happening. At least my young 26 or I don't even know, 27 years in the temple. That
That's right.
that's what has occurred in the at least my in my opinion, right?
Islam.
So what is do you have anything to add to that or anything, Mo
Well,
man?
I think truth and reconciliation is good.
Mhm.
I think it's a good thing.
Mhm.
I think before we can get to a point, and I'm talking about the Moorish paradigm, or just in life in general, it could be with family, it could be with friends, it could be loved ones, etc.
Uh-huh.
I think truth and reconciliation with self, like delving within yourself first, is the most important aspect of it.
Absolutely.
Because if, like you said earlier, if I'm a man of truth, and you're a person of truth, a man or woman of truth, then we should be have the ability to come together as brother and brother, or brother and sister, and reason together and come to a solution, as opposed to allowing things to continue to get out of hand. I like what you said too, Sheik, in regards to um, the fact that when you ignore the past, ignoring the past doesn't, or ignoring the problems of the past, or the issues of the past, or the matters of the past, it does not um, it does not dismiss or remove the situations from the past from creeping into the present. Because the thing is, I think a lot of people, I'm not gonna say a lot of people, but some people don't realize is that, like for example, ourselves, though we're living right here in the present, we've also, and I've named some names of our past leaders and teachers,
Mhm.
they were part of the past. They were also part of the present, and then we're also part of the future. So all three of those points simultaneously run a course where they meet at the same end on the same road.
Absolutely.
So you gotta have to be very mindful of the generations that are to come. And I hear often where people say, "Well, we're trying to do it right. We're trying to get it right." Well, truth and reconciliation is the way you get it right and you do it right.
Yeah.
Um,
Absolutely.
taking, like you said, an objective look at the matters at hand and realizing that in some instances, some people were working with what they had on hand.
Mhm.
Many of us, we, again, like we said before in previous episodes, we often go into the mind of presentism as to, well, if I was doing this time, or if I was, if I could turn back the hands of time, so to speak, this is what I would do, as
Mhm.
opposed to saying, you know what, let's look at the common points, the medium points where we can agree on certain aspects, and things that we don't agree with. We have to look at it and say, you know what, it's okay. We just aren't going to agree with it today. But then you also made reference to like perpetrators and victims as well. You know what I'm saying?
Mhm.
And like I said, over the course of the week, I've had the opportunity to just hear a few things in regards to this whole, sovereign citizen madness, and that's what I call
Okay.
it, because people are still being, good people are still being taken advantage of,
Uh-huh.
and they're being swindled by people who have never stepped into and if they did step into the Moorish Science Temple of America, they're not card carrying members.
Mhm.
They're not following the prophet to a destiny that's not uncertain or no unknown, because when you read Caveat Emptor, it tells you about the individuals who's on the high road, those individuals who are on the low road. It
Right.
also, and the prophet also lets us know about those who are embezzlers,
Mhm.
those who are of the worst kind. And I'm not trying to take it to that point, but when you start looking at some of the stuff that people are doing to people who
Mhm.
ultimately have either salvation at heart, they want to know of themselves, their higher self and their lower self, or their nationality, etc. And you see some of the things they have to go through
Mhm.
in order, and they really don't have to go through it. They really don't have to go through it, but they don't know any better that they're being taken advantage of. It really does something to me where I'm seeing it. I'm like, nah, we gotta really, we're gonna have to enforce some things, because at the end of the day, these people who are calling themselves members of the Moorish Science Temple of America, and they're selling, um, they're selling the just everything. They just selling
Mhm.
anything they can get their hands on.
Mhm.
It's guiding people. These people, we gotta bring them up on what it is that they're not doing, because what they're doing is wrong and it's out of order.
Yeah, absolutely.
But on a positive note, when we talk, because we're talking in the Skid Bay, thank you for welcoming us back. Welcome
Yeah.
back to the
Praise
chat.
Allah.
We know we've been gone for a minute. Um, One thing that you can do to um, uplift yourself, because the topic is spiritual hygiene,
Mhm.
I think affirmations are very important.
Oh yeah, for
So
sure.
I just want to talk about affirmations for a minute, because when you affirm, like Grancy Curleo teaches us, stand in the mirror, look at yourself. And the question you ask yourself is, do you like not only the physical, what you see, but go right into that spiritual aspect, your spirit, who you are ultimately, and see if you see Allah.
Mhm.
You're going to see Allah if you look hard enough. So I'll just read some of my affirmations. Some of the affirmations that I've been writing in
Mhm.
my book here. Got my book and I filled it out. I finished it. Um, just empty pages, and writing to Allah. I said, I'll thank Allah and I'll put my trust in the ability to make things happen.
Mhm.
It was a word you said a few months ago. And the word was abundance. And I
Abundance.
also wrote that in the book as well. And then my wife, she also used the word abundance, growth, and then there was another word she used as well. But those are the two words that stuck out to me.
Mhm.
Um, and then another part, I would listen to my inner voice before making serious choices and
Mhm.
make sound decisions. And that's something that I think, again, everybody has their take on this whole social media thing, but when I look at it, and then we use the artificial intelligence thumbnail. We're gonna level off, man. We
Oh
use
yeah.
we use one, and I typed it in. I say, hey, I want the guy to look like this. I want him to have a beard like this. I try to give him as much to look like one of us, and Asiatic brother, nicely put together, etc. But at the end of the day, this thing with artificial intelligence, it is everything has a duality.
Oh no.
Everything in the world has a duality. And I'll be looking, sometimes I see, people take information, they run with it.
Mm,
And I see, information about Moorish Americans,
right.
wars, this, that, and the third. And I'm like, man, and then some of the times when I get it, I'm like, are you serious? Like, you can't be believing this is true. This stuff is bogus, man. All you have to do, you really got to research and investigate and deep dive because people throwing anything in this artificial intelligence machine now.
Man, look, and and you have AGI,
Mhm.
right? Which is artificial general intelligence,
Okay.
meaning it's kind of smart, right?
Hmm.
Um, but then by 2035, you're gonna have ASI.
Okay.
Okay. So ASI is artificial super intelligence. This
Hmm.
is smarter than humans.
That's what they
It,
said.
so um, like right now it's collecting data to do different things. And when I was coming up, right, and I don't want to get off topic, but when I was coming up, you know, even though we was in the streets doing the little stupid stuff,
Right, right, right,
go to the movie, we want to see stuff like Johnny Mnemonic, right?
right, right,
We want to see stuff like Lawnmower Man,
right.
okay? The movie Hackers, because
Haggis, yeah, all
yeah.
right.
So when you and if anybody goes, and by the way, we don't own. I'm mentioning these things. We don't own the right to those movies or
You don't.
anything like
Yeah, you
that,
don't. Yeah.
and we're not promoting them or anything like that. But I'm just letting you know what I used to like. What we used to watch in my era time, sci-fi or
Hmm.
science fiction. Now, one question is, how can science be fiction?
Wow, that's a good question.
You see, so if you are basing a fiction movie on science, eventually that science that you base that fiction on, eventually that fiction is eventually, I'm thinking, going to come to fruition.
Come on, that's right.
And you can see this in just various different movies or what have you, right?
Hmm.
But that's just a little bit so I was it was something that came to my email, and I'm like, why does this even come to my email? You remember the company Enron?
Yes, I do.
Well, now they're promoting something called the nuclear egg that can power your whole home, and you can take it out in the wilderness, and you can power your video games and all.
They went down though. I thought that
Now
company
check
went
it
down.
out. So
That's wild,
I'm
man.
like, I'm not. Listen, I don't want to deal with nothing that's nuclear. I don't care how small it is.
Right,
I'm not
right.
dealing with
Not at all.
it, right? And I'm definitely not going dealing with no Enron. That's
That's
just
right.
my personal opinion, right? Right at this point in time. So I found it to be very interesting to see, like, to say the least, where the world is going, right?
That's right.
Um, so um spirituality, right? What does that look like? Okay, because the prophet says, what is our religion?
Islam.
Islamism.
That's right.
Okay, which is the practice of peace. Okay, we're practicing, we're striving, we're working towards being at peace with ourselves, at peace with our surroundings, our fellow men, um, and the various things that we have to do, right? We're asking Allah to guide us and bring us to be at peace with that, right?
That's right.
Um, or find an amicable way. And not saying that we are always going to find an amicable way, but we'll do everything in our power initially to find an amicable way because we don't want people to think that we're saying let people run over you either.
No,
We're not
not at
saying that
all.
because
Mm-mm.
you're not going to run over us.
No, you're
And
not.
but we try to first find an amicable way of um, resolving things, right? So, what does spirituality look like? Because a person can practice Islam and they can become very dogmatic.
That's
or
right.
they can practice Islamism. They can become very dogmatic, and not really get to the essence of the spirituality of Islamism or Islam. So, spirituality is what fosters positive emotions like peace, gratitude, acceptance, growth, and emotional intelligence,
That's right.
right? Because at the end of the day, to have this healthy ecosystem, whether because when we talk about spiritual hygiene, in order to have that healthy spiritual ecosystem in our temples and our family, personally, and even economically, right? Because the prophet tell us that we will not be able to reach the high spiritualities in life um, until we have what economic security.
That's right.
And in order to do that, you have to, there's some things that you have to actually practice, right? And not build up that negative energy, because if not, then, you're not going to be able to understand, share, and do various other things and work hand in hand with your brother or sister, right? So, um, hygiene. So, let's focus on that word for a minute, right?
Yeah.
Um, so hygiene is the science that deals with the bringing about and keeping up of good health, both physically and mentally. It involves keeping all parts of the external parts of the body clean and healthy. It is a fact that in poor personal hygiene, uh, mental hygiene, spiritual hygiene, it is a fact that the body or the mind, right, or your spirit will, um, if not kept in a positive manner, will provide an ideal environment for germs, for negative energy to grow, for the spirit of Satan to jump on you, right?
Right.
Um, and this will leave you and not getting rid of that negative stuff or maintaining a healthy ecosystem. It will leave you vulnerable um, to
Illness.
infection,
To
whether
illness.
it's mentally and,
That's
and
right.
various other
Physically.
things. Yeah,
That's right.
physically.
No,
So
go ahead.
this is
Go ahead, She.
this
Because
is
I mean, you made me think about that part. You know what
yeah, this
I'm
is why, son. This is why when you see certain people, they pretend to foster good relationships with people, and then they turn around and it's like now they're at opposition with the people who they were at once trying to foster good relationships with.
saying?
Now something ain't right.
No,
You
it
see
isn't.
what I'm saying? And we're not talking about
Anybody specific.
anybody, yeah, specifically, but like this is not the practice of Islamism. It's not Sikhism,
That's right.
um, and it's not the various other things that titles that people put on themselves and things of this nature.
Islam.
Yeah, yeah,
It's a
praise
common
Allah.
practice. It's a common practice in society in itself is what I'm hearing from you.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
It goes back to the word countenance, and we find in the Quran, countenance has a lot to do with your facial expression, but it also has a lot to do with the energy that your body gives off.
Right.
And also, you and I both know, like, when if you and I'm gonna use just like for example, like fast long enough, and I'm not just talking about from what you ingest,
Uh huh.
but also what you look at, you listen to, etc. After a while, you'll be able to see auras. You'll actually be
Hmm.
able to see, I guess you can say, color patterns around
Okay.
people,
Hmm.
and you'll also be able to feel and read the energy of those that are around you as well.
Hmm.
Depending on what a person again takes in, that aura can be bright,
Hmm.
and also vice versa. Again, dealing with duality, it can be very small as well,
Yeah. Or dull,
or
very
dull, or
ashy
dull as well.
looking. Yeah.
Yeah, very dull, man. So um, and this is why it's important again to take time to yourself, but also take time away from these screens because everything that you see on the screen may not be.
Yeah.
It just might not be the case, you know. And when you look at how, and I'm not, again, we're not signaling or anything like that, but just one thing I've noticed on social media, everybody has a great grandeur way of living. Everybody's living the high life.
Hmm.
Nobody's going through any type of adversity, as we say. You know, everybody got a why. You know, people finance, like you mentioned. Uh, everybody has the holy grail. Everybody has all the lessons and all the degrees on the prophet.
Right.
Everybody can, you know, do. And I'm not, again, not shooting any shots. Everybody can do 7 to 8 videos because they are a master of all trades, or jack of all trades, but a master of very little.
Hmm.
Um, and really, in all actuality, we all are just working on ourselves, man.
Hmm.
That's the reality of it. We really got to be honest with ourselves and say, you know what? I have a higher self and a lower self, and at the end of the day, sometimes, you know, my lower self may creep in, my higher self may creep in.
Hmm.
But I'm, like you said earlier, you're striving, and the word came back to me because I wrote it in the book. So
Okay.
the word was health,
Okay.
discipline, and abundance. Those are the 3 words that I put down, right? And when you look at the word health, because you said, well, let's look at some words. But when you look at the word health, the root word of the word health is heal.
Yeah. Well, that's right. Go ahead, man.
Everybody, you see all these health gurus, and nothing wrong with that, you know, because I listen to a couple of people, and I read the books and things of that nature. But when you're looking at the word heal, heal is dealing with wholeness.
Hmm.
You have to really find the cure to your own issue and make yourself whole,
Hmm.
sound and well, you know. And it's not going to look the same for everybody.
Yeah,
And I
that's
think
right.
that's what the prophet. I think he knew that when he said, "I know where everyone is along the road."
Hmm.
The movement, because, and I explain this to people, you know, as you explained it to me when I came in, and even you still explain it to us, you know, throughout the course of our meetings. Mo, it's not about catching up, it's about catching on. That's
That's
often
true.
what you say. And then
Hmm.
likewise, if you only have one degree, work that degree, that lesson. If you only have one lesson, continue to work that lesson, because that lesson is going to crystallize, it's going to manifest into something that can help you help yourself, and then it'll be a blessing, or it may help someone else. You know what I'm saying?
Absolutely.
But, you know, I think that because we live in a microwave generation, health, discipline, and abundance, we want those things. We want the tangibles, but a lot of people don't want to put in the hard work. And what Sheikh Michael Johnson Bay often says, the sweat equity, and
Hmm.
what it really takes to be fortified and change your way of thinking first, your way of perceiving yourself, the way you perceive others, and how you move in this life, in this society. Um, so yeah, when you looking at health, man, you looking at really healing yourself. You really have to establish healthy routines and patterns, um, and, you know, don't let your, and I'm talking to the viewers, and if anybody on the chat wants to, you know, type in some healthy routines, or some healthy patterns that you may, you know, want to just give as advice for those who may look at the show later on, by all means, please do. You know, if you want to come on, you know, we'll put the invite link in as well. We're not going to be on long tonight, but we are going to pick up on this segment and also our previous segment in the next weeks to come. But ultimately, you know, you have to really be patient with yourself, and then also we can also talk about the breath as well, if you want to do
Hmm.
that. You want to go into
Yeah.
the
Yeah. Because a lot of people, they don't, you know, if you don't believe what we're talking about as far as aura, and we're not talking about your when we say children, we're not talking about your personal. I mean, your offsprings,
right.
even though that's a good indicator. But we're talking about children who don't know you at all, right?
Mhm. That's right.
Um, they and how they respond to people, and some of them can't talk, you know. And I've had several experiences where it was like, I'm like, hold up, uh, what's going on, right? I've seen how children respond to other people
Hmm.
as well. So we're not sitting here. Number one, we're not trying to say that we these high masses of
No, we're not. Not at all.
right, but
Not
what
at
we're
all.
saying, we have a basic understanding of some of the things that we've expressed, and it's real, and we're not talking about spooky. It's nothing spooky.
Come
You
on now.
can also obtain these particular things, but you can watch children and how they respond to other adults. Man, children will tell you
Tell
like
on you, right? They'll tell on you
they,
quick,
they
and
like,
not like
listen,
this, but they'll tell on you by what they do.
yeah. So my wife puts, she said, that's great, because that's exercising, yoga, hydration, journaling,
That's right.
expression,
That's right.
right?
That's right.
And expression comes in many different ways, right? Because some people express themselves through hip hop, if you will,
That's right. Come on.
art, poetry.
That's right.
Like I like to write.
Me
I'm
too.
pretty good at it, but I can always get better. But also my creative side comes out in in other ways. Like I like to dress too. So
Right.
that's like a part of my creativity in a sense.
Expression. That's
Right?
right. It's expression.
Yeah. Um, even journaling is good. I'd like to do that as well. Um, my wife, for the sisters, she held a vision board
Hmm.
um session, right?
Hmm.
Not only that, she her and Sister Yona Il did a park um yoga exercise type thing, right?
Right.
Not only that, your wife does
Book
book
club. Yes,
club.
and a book club. That's right.
So all of that is like expression,
Right.
right? Because your wife loves, she's a
Loves
master at
literature.
English.
She loves literature.
And,
That's right.
and so now that's what she went to school for. She's has over 10,000 hours in dealing with it. So her expression comes out when she does the things like the book club,
That's
or
right.
when she gets the book and she's reading it. And she can, man, she tell us things about, when
Me
I
too.
was in
Yeah.
Sunday school, or when
Yeah.
I'm demonstrating something and I want to demonstrate something about English, I look towards her. I might be demonstrating it, but I look towards her to get that nod, like, Mo,
Right.
you
Like
on the
you on board,
right
Mo.
track, right? So, um, and all this, like, and even when it comes down to health, my wife, I look towards her when I'm demonstrating something about health, or
That's right.
I run it past her. But this is that healthy ecosystem that we were talking about, right?
Right, Mo.
So, man, this is so what we're talking about. More science is not this what people, all the stuff that you saying on social media, people going back and forth.
Police and
My teacher
uh,
fooling with the, telling the police they don't have no jurisdiction and all, filling out paperwork, um, correcting status and all. Man, like, I'm not saying that stuff doesn't make a difference, but what I'm telling you is that I ain't seen nowhere in Prophet Noble Drew Ali's teachings and his predecessors, his true predecessors,
right,
where
right.
and some of the elders, where any of that information is in any handwritten notes, any typed letters. I just don't see it.
Step by step, got anything.
Yeah, yeah. So and then when you look at the year that some of that stuff came into existence, you'll find out that I don't even, according to my research, I don't even think there were birth certificates when Prophet Noble Drew Ali was born.
Most of the states, and that's the thing, right? Most of the states, they started putting like for example, especially in this, like, and this is a great point, Sheik, and I'm glad you
Um,
brought that out. Like, so, North Carolina.
mhm,
I'm gonna talk about what I've been doing. Right,
mhm,
I've been tracing myself back. We hear and we read about genealogy in the
uh-huh,
core. I mean, our questionnaire. Well, I've been doing my family's genealogy.
mhm,
Of course, the Carolinas, North Carolina, South Carolina, Virginia, so on and so forth. But also, um, I also do gardening as well.
mhm,
I've been growing and cultivating vegetables and things of that nature as well. But going back to the genealogy point, right?
mhm.
Birth certificates. When you look at the birth certificates in North Carolina didn't start issuing birth certificates until like 19. I'm gonna say 1913, 14, or 15.
Okay,
Prof was born 1886.
right.
Don't make sense to me.
Mhm,
You understand what I'm saying? Like it, it don't click. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
It doesn't click. You know, so when you look at that, and even like you said before, like the whole idea of step by step, we don't find it anywhere in the prophets' literatures, nowhere in the prophets' teachings, where the prophet says, well, this is what you do first, this is what you do second, this is what you do third, this is what you do fourth. He
Mhm.
makes it very clear in Acts 6. He says, proclaim your nationality. And what does that mean? It means live the life.
Mhm.
It means learn, come in and learn, sit down, still yourself, breathe. Don't be anxious. Don't be anxious to go out there and because I mean, we all been through it before. Oh
Man,
yeah, Mo, you know, because you was with me. I'm like, oh, Mo, I'm going ahead and do Mo. You ain't got to do all that. And once I learned, I caught on. I didn't play catch up. I just sat down and I learned my lessons. And I learned, I learned how to come into the mindset of being a citizen by way of the Moorish Science Temple of America. Now, by nothing frivolous and things of that nature. And we're talking about conduct, quality, and character of an individual.
mhm.
We're not talking about anything external. We're talking about internally learning lessons to the Prophet Noble Drew Ali through his curriculum and making it a part of every part of our lives. And as a result of that, it's made us better men. It's made us better husbands. It's made us, better individuals in our community. And that's not us, beating our chest and tooting our horn or anything of that nature, but just how we live and how we treat others and how we treat ourselves, first and foremost.
Yeah, and that Mo, that's like coming into more science temple over America. You're not going to get a magic wand
We not.
and automatically change your life. You have your magic wand is the elbow grease that you're going to put into learning your lessons and making them applicable to your everyday life. That's the only uh that's the only magic wand that we have for you. It's
That's right.
elbow it's elbow grease.
So my
That's
wife
it.
said in the comments, my wife said healing takes place in creativity, movement, high vibrational music, singing, art, etc. Those are ritual practices that we take for granted. I agree, and she is a very skilled dancer. She does African dance. I also
Yeah.
want to give on to my daughter as well because my daughter, when we talk about creativity, it just doesn't go for the adults, but and my son
Mhm.
too. And
Mhm.
so my daughter, so my son, he does martial arts. He's in of course, him and I, we both practice kung fu, but he's taking on different martial arts, and he's picking up. Mo wants to pick up two additional ones, and I'm like, Mo, you slow down, man. You know what I'm saying? But
Right.
you can't harness that spirit. Is what we learn in
Right.
the temple. And then my daughter, she just had the opportunity, and she's 7 years old, but she had the opportunity to go to Micah, which is a art college
Mhm.
in
Mhm.
the city of Baltimore for a week, and honing her skills, her expression of art. And she's been, gifted in that aspect since I say, man, since she was about 3, 4 years old. So,
Mhm.
when we see these, like the word that my wife used, creativity and just the things that can heal us that are really part of who we are, we have to embrace them and we can't run away from them. We can't, bury them and things of that nature. We have to
Mhm.
embrace it, bring them out.
Absolutely, because
That's
your wife know because I'm a master at this African dance called Doom Ba.
right.
Right? No, I'm just playing. I do know it, but I mess with your wife and your daughter all the time.
I
Right?
did it one time, and I was tired.
Yeah.
I did it one time.
Yeah.
I was like, never, never again. But I'll try it again.
Yeah, and we got a lot of things that's coming, that's coming up too that ancient forefathers day, but various other things that we will get into because Sister J or Sister Janelle English ill,
That's right.
she spearheaded the Moorish Unity Summit,
That's
right? Um, by all means. Also, you had a Grand Sheikess by the name of La Aquanetta Austin Bay.
mm-hmm.
She had some things that were very instrumental, and I don't think people really took heed to what it is that she was actually doing. But we're going to pick up we're going to pick up some of the things that they were doing, and then future shows we're asking um, we're not asking you to disconnect yourself from your grand body. So that's
That's right.
not or when I there's only one more Science Temple of America as far as I'm concerned.
Islam.
Um, so what we're asking is that you put in some sweat equity, and it's not going to be a whole lot that we're asking for, but not we're not asking you to leave your temple or anything like that. We're asking you to assist us, assist other people by showing a unified front. We're not asking you to learn anything that it is that we know unless you want to,
That's right.
right? Um, and we're hoping that you're not trying to force your idea or way of thinking on us, um, because we'll kindly tell you, hey, that okay, we not we'll take an objective look, but it doesn't mean that we're gonna
Follow it.
go, yeah, and follow what it is that you're saying.
Yeah.
Um, However, we do know that there's a some very basic actionable items that we can that we can follow through on, and of course, that is unity by understanding that we are Moorish Americans, that the shade of our skin is olive, and that our race is Asiatic,
That's right.
that we have a divine constitution of bylaws. We have the same Moorish American prayer. We have the same hand press,
Hmm.
and however you fly your flags, that is what it is.
Right.
However we fly our flags, that is what it is. But we know that our nationality is Moorish American.
Islam.
So, and working in that, then we can move forward with doing other little small things to continue to create a unified front,
That's
so
right.
to speak. And when I say front, I ain't talking about how we use it in the hip hop world, like fronting, like
Right.
playing.
Right.
um, I'm
Right.
talking about like a real live, genuine, working together aspect of, hey, building emotional intelligence and things of that nature. So,
That's right.
yeah, praise Allah. Yeah, I see your wife laugh.
Laughing at the come.
She know Mo. I do.
Oh, right here.
Praise Allah.
Islam, man. Praise
Yeah.
Allah.
So,
Yeah,
yeah.
so this is a good segment, man. Everybody's quiet in the chat, which is fine. If you got questions later on, type your questions in. There's no problem, no issue, whatever whatsoever. Excuse me.
Yeah. Absolutely.
But we're gonna conclude this segment. We said we weren't gonna be on that long. We just wanted to, drop in, see how everybody was doing. And we also wanted just to put this, this message of good spiritual hygiene out. We're going to come back to the topic in later episodes. We're going to also come back to the prophet's way is right, the other way is wrong as well. We haven't forgotten about that.
Yeah. Absolutely.
We definitely haven't forgotten about that because there's been a lot that's transpired since then. But peace and love, East 49. It's good to see you on the chat. Welcome back. It's been a minute. Hope all is well with you. Hope all is well. So with that being said, just a few announcements that we're going to put out there. Of course, our holy day meetings are from 8 p.m. to 10 p.m. Fridays, Sundays from 12 to 2. That's 1055 North Milton Avenue. That's Temple number 13, located in the heart of East Baltimore. 1055 North Milton Avenue, under the leadership of our Spring Grand Sheik, Clarence Prathiel, and also our National Grand Sheik is T. Jones Bay. I also wanted to put out, and we'll have the flyer up so we can upload it next week or the next segment, which will be before the event. We have our annual Ancient Forefathers Day for Ali, Prophet Noble Drew Ali celebration coming up. That's going to be on August 30th here in Baltimore, Maryland. The location is at 1044 North Durham Street. That's Baltimore, Maryland 21205. All are welcome. Come out. But if you come out, come in love, true peace, freedom, and justice. It's a family affair. We're going to have speakers. We're going to have events. We're going to have vendors. It's a great grand occasion. So it's not only just for Moorish Americans, but for Asiatics and other individuals of different nationalities as well. We just ask if you come out in love.
Yeah.
Um, and I also want to give honors to all the other respective temples, all of those who are keeping the temple doors open across different administrations as well. We know we say a lot on this program, but if you're doing your part and you're doing what's right in the sight of Allah, continue to do what you're doing, but please don't cause any confusion. Sheik, did I miss anything?
No, if the shoe fit, wear it.
Yeah, that too.
And if
That
it
was a
do,
segment. Yeah, that's a segment right there.
yeah, if it don't put it on.
Yeah,
Right,
don't put it on. If it don't fit you,
right.
it ain't your size, man. It ain't
Yeah,
your
yeah,
size.
yeah,
Yeah, but all is well.
yeah.
Uh, so with that being said, we're going to end off and conclude with the Moorish American prayer.
Islam,
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 Islam.
Islam.
Allah, the Father of the universe,
Allah, the Father of the universe,
the Father of love,
Father of love,
truth,
truth,
peace,
peace,
freedom,
freedom,
and justice.
and justice.
Allah is my protector,
Allah is my protector,
my guide,
my guide,
and my salvation
and my salvation
by night
by night
and by day.
and by day.
Through his holy prophet,
His holy prophet,
Drew Ali.
Drew Ali.
Amen.
Amen.
Islamism.
Islamism.